So, it's around the end of the season. Welcome to week 10. I'm actually recording this in week 9 at the moment because I know that around week 10, I'm probably going to be busy with other things in relation to this game because I know for a fact there's going to be a lot of news dropping about the end of the season and leaks and just new updates in general, and I want to cover it all. So I decided to record this one a little ahead of time. Seeing as it's only a week in advance, I figure not much is going to change outside of the Jujutsu Kaisen collab. So we're just going to have to see. I want to talk about the season in length this episode. This episode is going to be a lot different from the last two. Where the last two I was talking about just my opinions on the game at the time. No, we're reflecting this time. That's what week 10 is all about. Reflecting. We're still going to be talking about the state of the game at the moment, of course, but we're reflecting on the entire season, and I'm going to place it into a tier list. That is what the week 10 videos are going to be for the foreseeable future. So, let's jump right in and talk about Fortnite Wilds 10 weeks in, and of course, my overall thoughts on the season as a whole. So, let's talk about the current state of the game first, because I feel like I can get that one out of the way really quickly. Now, I've already discussed like updates and such to the game before this video, such as the Futurama update, and how I felt about the summer event, and how disappointed I was. Generally, I do think that the game is more fun right now than it was previously. I really feel like the Futurama update really did bring me back, especially with like the Mammoth Pistol. And just recently we did get the Grapple Glove unvaulted, which already basically unvaults movement. I've seen a couple of people theorize that we're going to be seeing things like the Blade return, or maybe even the Shockwave Hammer, which I would be so down with, honestly. I feel like we've been missing some mobility, especially in this season. But honestly, the season's been pretty fun as of late. Even though I'm already level 200, it's just been fun to hop on and just play some games. I don't know if that's just me, but I've been having a lot more fun with the game as of late. Maybe that's just me. It kind of reminds me of Chapter 2, Season 8, where at the start of the season I didn't really enjoy it, but then as the season progressed, I slowly started to enjoy the season a little bit. Was it the best season ever? No, it's definitely like a B-tier season, and we'll get to where I rank this one eventually. But I do think that this season has a lot in common with that one, whether you like to agree with me or not. This upcoming update is very similar to that, in which we're getting an anime collab. Chapter 2, Season 8, we had Naruto. It really does feel like we're having some similarities between these two seasons. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I really don't think this season is as bad as it was when it first started. I don't know. But, again, it's just an opinion. If you disagree, that's totally okay. Let's talk about the current state of the game. I think BR is fine. I don't think BR is bad at all right now. The jungle is fine. The loot pool is fine. I do think that the assault rifles this season are a little weak. That being everything dominated by the MK, and the suppressed Havoc rifle doesn't really feel all that good to use. And honestly, I don't even know if you can consider the DMR an assault rifle. I think it's more of a marksman rifle. But I haven't really been using it. So, in general, I feel like the loot pool, especially with the ARs, is kind of dookie right now, but I feel like the shotgun meta is really good at the moment. Having the Havoc shotgun is basically like having a pump in the game. We have the lever shotgun in game, we have the Sharp Tooth shotgun, which is the Spaz. It is a pump shotgun, but again, it's a little weaker. I still like it. I think it's pretty cool. The only outlier here is the drum shotgun. I still really wish that they would have just gotten rid of this initially, but yeah, I feel like it was kind of known that it was going to stay in the game. I don't feel like it's been as annoying this season for whatever reason. I haven't really been killed by it nearly as much as I was during Resistance or when it was first added into the game, which I don't even remember. But I do remember it being very annoying. And so, in general, I feel like this is the least annoying it's been in a long time, and I'm actually okay with that. Still, the Mythic is very broken, and whenever I go up against it, which for some reason is frighteningly rare, I don't know why, I just find myself dying quite often. That's another thing. I feel like Mythics are a little underwhelming as of late. I feel like the Mythic Havoc rifle is just okay. It's not that interesting. The Mythic Drum Shotgun isn't necessarily that good. I feel like the most interesting one is the MK Alpha, which is fine enough. It does a lot of damage and it fires a lot faster. But I still don't really see myself going out of the way to get it. I don't see myself going out of the way to get any of these. If anything, if I'm going to the loot island to get anything, it's slurp juice, and that itself is another thing. I feel like slurp juice shouldn't necessarily be in the game. It's really annoying when you're fighting someone and then they just whip out a slurp juice and suddenly they have all their health back instantly. That's not like a chug jug where it was high risk, high reward. There's no risk here. You just chug it real quick and boom, all your health is back. I feel like they should either bring back the purple version or they should just get rid of it from the game entirely. I understand why it's still here, and I know that you still do have to go out of your way to get slurp juice, but I feel like it's a lot easier to get now since there's more vaults and more guards, and there's combat caches everywhere, and there's the loot island, so it doesn't really feel like it's too difficult to get. Most people are just going to be going to those vaults or the loot island to get the slurp juice. I still don't really like the weapons that they added initially in the season. The flapjack rifle, I know that it's powerful. I've used it in creative maps where it's been pretty okay, but I just don't ever find myself using it in-game. Maybe that's just a nitpick from me. I'm just not really a big fan of it. I've never been a fan of LMGs in general. So it could totally just be a preference thing, but I'm just not a big fan of the flapjack rifle at all. And again, the thermal DMR is fine, but only if you have the one specific augment. I think my favorite weapon this season is, without doubt, the Mammoth Pistol. I love this thing, man. I love how hard it hits. I love how just fun it is. It's just a fun weapon to use, and I don't see how you can hate this gun. It takes skill. It has one bullet in the chamber, and it hits really hard, so it rewards you having good aim. And not even aim assist can really ruin this weapon for people. It's just a fun weapon to use, and if you can't see that, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just a fun weapon. Outside of that, though, the new weapons this season have been a little underwhelming, to say the least. I don't hate them, and I do think the loot pool is fine, but it's not really a specific meta. That's what's weird about this season, is normally it's either a shotgun-centric meta or a spray meta, but this season I feel like it's neither. Initially, I thought it was going to be a spray meta because we have the combat SMG and the drum shotgun, and we got the MK back, but it hasn't really felt like that to me. So I don't know if that's just a me thing, but I am not really able to narrow down if this is a shotgun meta or a spray meta, and it's a little weird. Weirdly enjoyable, to say the least, because it feels like we're getting something vastly different from before, but still, I like being able to narrow down what it is and what it isn't. Again, with the jungle biome, I feel like there's some areas of it that I just don't necessarily like. However, it has grown on me, I will admit, being the most interactive biome we've ever had, with the fruits and the vines and the ascenders and everything around that sort. Especially the mud, too. The mud is insane. I still think it's gross, but I've kind of just come to get over that. I do generally think that the jungle biome is pretty okay. It's definitely the best jungle biome we've had to date. It's the most, it's just the most fleshed out jungle biome we've had. Like, the Chapter 1 jungle biome, you know, it was just cooler looking trees and darker colored grass. This one, you can tell, like, it is different. I think the only issue I really have with it is just the amount of foliage there is on the ground. I understand why there's this much foliage, and I understand that this is supposed to be more like, oh, you gotta hide in it, and it's like literally jungle warfare, which, I mean, that's how it is. There's foliage everywhere. I understand that, but I'm still not necessarily a fan of it. And I don't know, I just feel like if there was less foliage and less area to hide around the jungle biome, then it would be a good enough biome for me to say I genuinely love it. I just like it at this point, but I don't know, I feel like the biome as a whole is a little miffed. I'm kind of mixed on it, but still, it's not the worst thing in the world. Now, that's my thoughts on the current state of Fortnite. Let's talk about it as a whole. This season started off pretty mid, in my opinion, with the additions to the game being lackluster. You know, I mean, we got a couple of things after, like the MK Alpha and a couple of unvaults, but nothing too special. And then I feel like it was basically just kind of through the summer event, because the summer event was kind of like the thing we got in between the mid and the good. But I feel like recently it's been a lot more fun. And so I just, it's a little mixed for me. I don't know where to really rank this. So we're gonna try and compare it to some previous seasons that I thought were really good, that I thought were really bad, and that I thought were just okay. And then I'm gonna hopefully be able to determine where it goes on a tier list. So, my favorite season of all time, Invasion. I always like an excuse to talk about this season. We got constant content, we got an insane amount of just fun items, fun, unique gameplay. The UFOs were OP, but a fun kind of OP. And I just feel like it was the perfect Fortnite season. We got 2 live events. They were both pretty good. And we got a plethora of skins that I myself loved. Now, my least favorite Fortnite season, ironically, is Fortnite Primal. And at the start of the season, I thought that it was comparable to Primal, but in a less, oh my god, this is absolutely abhorrent to play, and more of a, this reminds me of Primal, but a little bit better. And I still kind of feel that way to an extent, where it, like, theme-wise, it's similar, you know? We have a bunch of wildlife, there's like a jungle biome, which could be similar to the Primal biome, there's temples all over the place. I do feel like it's better, by a long shot. Like, Primal, I mean, the gameplay itself was awful, the biome was awful, the POIs were awful, the battle pass was pretty bad. I just didn't really like it, and I really hope they never bring back the makeshift weapons, because those genuinely ruined the game. I don't know how anyone can look at that and be like, oh yeah, those were pretty good. No, like, no, they were awful. They were genuinely awful. This season hasn't had anything genuinely bad in it. I feel like it's been pretty consistent with how it's played. It's just it got a little boring for a little bit there, which I feel like is to be expected. Whenever Epic Games goes on break, the game is typically going to be a little boring unless they've released a new chapter. Now, I do hope that they don't release a new chapter and immediately go on break, because they need to iron out bugs and all that kind of stuff. Learn from Chapter 4 Season 1, okay? Like, that was the buggiest Fortnite's ever been for the longest time. It was like 5 weeks of just broken gameplay. It got better after that, though, thankfully. I don't know. I feel like this season it doesn't deserve the hate that it gets, I think is a great way of putting it. I feel like, again, it's comparable to Chapter 2 Season 8, where it started off pretty subpar. I didn't really like the season. The theme was okay, but, you know, I wasn't really feeling it. But then as the season progressed, I just started enjoying it more. I don't know. Like, it became more fun, I guess is a good way of putting it. And that's how I'm feeling with this one. You know, I didn't like Fortnite Mares that season either. Like, I thought it was pretty subpar. We didn't really get all that much during Wrath of the Cube Queen, I felt. And it was the same thing here with the summer event. We basically got nothing. We got more in Wrath of the Cube Queen than we got with Summer Escape. But generally, I feel like these 2 seasons have the same vibe. I mean, even this season, there's references to The Last Reality and cubes and all that, if you've been paying attention to the lore, of course. And, you know, Chapter 2 Season 8 also had a less than stellar battle pass, with maybe like 2 good skins, those 2 good skins being Charlotte and Torin, with the rest of them being pretty mid. I didn't really care for any of them, especially Fabio's Sparkle main. Tuna Fish was kind of cool, but I didn't really like him all too much. It's just kind of fun to goof around with if you want to make like a Ninja Turtle or Mario or something along those lines. I just don't really feel like the Battle Pass that season was that good, and the same thing applies here, except I genuinely think this pass is probably one of the worst passes we've ever had, with literally only 1 good skin in the past, that being Era. I only care for Era. She's genuinely good, but she is hard carrying this battle pass. Optimus Prime I thought I would like a little more, but I just haven't really used him. That's kind of how it is with collabs and battle passes for me. I like them, but I never really used them. Generally speaking, this battle pass is pretty bad. On the level of Primal, I would say they're about equal. However, I am going to give Primal the edge here, which is something that I don't usually do. I thought Fortnite Primal had 2 good skins, Jonesy and Rebirth Raven, aka Rachel Roth. If you know me, I like goth girls, so of course I'm going to like that skin. I'm into goth culture. I'm literally a goth person myself. So, naturally, I feel like Primal has the edge, but it's not by much. I feel like these 2 seasons have pretty bad battle passes. But we're comparing this to Chapter 2 Season 8 here. which I think is a B tier season. If we're gonna be judging these two seasons side by side, I do generally think this is a low B tier season. I thought the biome was okay. I thought the loot pool was fine. It got pretty boring after a little bit. However, that's to be expected when Epic Games goes on break, and I do feel like the season is making a pretty decent comeback. We're getting more movement, we're getting more unvaults, we're getting new items, and we're getting an anime collab coming soon. I don't really care for Jujutsu Kaisen personally, but I know there's a lot of people who are excited about it, so yeah, I'm probably going to be playing Apex because the new season drops on the same day, and I love Revenant, so naturally I'm going to be playing that instead. But I am looking forward to checking it out and just seeing what they do. I don't think there's going to be too much more craziness outside of that, though. I mean, this season's pretty much over at this point. We only have, like, what, 2.5 weeks until Season 4, which I am really excited for, and there will be several videos coming up about me predicting Season 4 and what collabs I want and what I think will be in the past. But I'm kind of waiting for the theme because, I don't know, I just kind of want to wait so I can have more realistic theories and such, so we'll get there. However, I am generally very excited for next season, and I thought this season was just okay. I don't think it deserves the hate that it gets, personally. I understand why people wouldn't like this season. I really do, but I don't think it deserves all the hate in the world that it gets. It's an okay season. It's not the best. It didn't really do much for the game for me outside of the jungle biome, but I still had a good time regardless, outside of those 3 weeks that the game was just not fun to play because there was nothing in game, which is understandable. I play other games, so it wasn't the biggest issue for me. Epic Games was on break, so, you know, I was fine. I just hope that they up the ante with their holiday events, and I really do hope that next season they provide a lot more content, because I do feel like this season was lacking a little bit. Who knows, that could change, and then I have to make a video where I'm like, yep, that video's already outdated, but who knows, you know? I still think this season is going to end up being a low B tier for me. I don't think it's that bad. It's just okay. It's not mid either. Like, if you want my definition of mid, I'm going to have to I don't even know what I would go with the definition of mid, to be honest with you. Probably like Chapter 2, Season 3, because it was just but I'll have to think about that one. Again, it's not better than Chapter 2, Season 8 by a long shot, but the Mammoth Pistol does give it a lot of upvotes, and I do really like the Sharptooth Shotgun, and the Lever Shotgun being in the loot pool as well. So, again, just an okay season, low B tier, like a 7 out of 10 for me. And that's where I'm going to leave this season. We've officially made it through the first 10 weeks of a season on the channel here. I'm really excited about that, and I'm going to be doing this for every season going forward. It's a really just fun way for me to stay engaged with the game and kind of continue to give my takes as the season progresses, but also not to shove it in your faces, because takes can change over time, and thoughts can change, and all that kind of stuff. You know, at the start of the season, I thought, you know, it's okay, it's got potential. And then in the middle, I was kind of like, you know, I'm not really feeling it. But now I'm feeling it a little bit more, you know? And I feel like that's typical, you know, your opinions fluctuate over time. I am really looking forward to Season 4. Season 4 seems to be a blessed season as time has gone on. So I really do think that next season is potentially going to be the best of the chapter. However, I also don't think it will be, considering Fortnite Mega is the best of the chapter for me right now, and nothing has really beaten it since. That's going to be it for this video. Let me know what you guys thought about this season. I thought it was pretty okay. I didn't really think it was the best season ever, but I don't really think it deserves the hate that it gets. It's just okay, and I had some fun with it regardless. That'll be it from me. Remember to stay hydrated or something along those lines, and I will see you in a future video. Deuces.